right. Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Under the Dome. I'm your host, Alan Orick, with my partner, Mr. Willie Nelson, who's on the road again, Sean Williams. How you doing tonight, Sean?
I am driving through the rain somewhere in central Louisiana.
Oh,
And it is raining like a cow pissing on the flat rock.
then you're not Willie Nelson. You're Eddie Rabbit. You're driving your life away. So,
That's right.
um, all right, guys, we want to talk a little bit about, of course, the game last week with the Panthers, but most importantly, we got to talk about the game coming up now, the playoff game with the Minnesota Vikings. Wait,
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
so yeah, we got to talk about the playoffs, Sean. Jim.
I'm sorry. I keep thinking that I'll lose you.
Oh, but first, let me go ahead and get you to pay the bills real quick, Sean.
All right. Hey, thank you folks for joining us tonight. And by the way, Jerry Poor, you're going to have to handle the live chat tonight. Drinking and driving. Texting and driving killed. So I'm gonna let the security man for our live chat handle his business tonight. Well, thank you for joining us on Under the Dome and invite you to subscribe to our show on iTunes and on YouTube. And on with the show.
All right. Well, one of the things I was hoping was going to happen on Sunday did happen. The Carolina Panthers had about as much enthusiasm playing that game as kids on the last day, full day of school before Christmas break, or seniors before they get the hell out of there. I mean, I'd hope they had their bags packed, and apparently they did. The only thing they were interested in was getting Christian McCaffrey the record, tying him with Marshall Faulk and Roger Craig as doing the 1,000 club, which is a very impressive mark. I'm not belittling McCaffrey's record. That was an impressive achievement based on all the work he did. But, I mean, that game was over the minute A.J. Klein picked off that pass and ran it in for a touchdown against his former team. Everything else just icing on the cake.
It was a lot. It favored a lot the LSU game. The real turning point of both games was right after the national anthem.
Well, we were talking in all of Saints Twitter and Facebook and social media in general has been talking about how Drew was dissed by not being included in the top 10 100th anniversary all-time NFL team. I've kind of been spending a lot of time. It's calmed down now, but I spent a lot of time those first couple of days basically defending Sammy Baugh and Otto Graham, because what we got immediately was people that did stat watching, posted Sammy Baugh's stats, and we're like, yeah, he only threw for 21,000 yards. Yeah, out of the single wing with no pass pocket, no game film, nothing. He made the quarterback position, helped evolve it into the position it is today. That's why he's on the list. But in my opinion, Drew definitely deserved to be on there. I would have put him ahead of John Elway. Sorry, Bob Rose. I would have put him ahead of John Elway only because I felt Drew's accomplishments have eclipsed Elway's accomplishments. You already have Dan Marino basically, I'm just going to say, kind of representing the 80s. Steve Young didn't make that list either. But, when you start getting into stats and performance, you have to realize how much the game has evolved. But if you are the dominant or the record-setting quarterback in this era, I think you deserve to be on that list.
Exactly. I'm not going to sit here and pick apart the players that didn't include on that list because obviously all are very deserving. Like you said, I believe that if you had to pick one that Breeze should be above, on that list, I would say it would probably be Elway. My thing is this: I'm not gonna try to quantify Drew Brees by detracting from someone else because that's what drives me insane about people right now. They do the same thing to Brees in regards to players like Manning and Brady and Rodgers and all that. I'm not going to add by subtract. I'm not going to do that. But at the same time, legitimately speaking, someone that has accomplished everything that Drew Brees has accomplished, how do you, for lack of a better word, how do you justify not having him on that list? That's my thing.
Exactly. I mean, they said, okay, they started voting in May of 2018. But you knew, and the schedule makers knew, because that's why they put Breeze on Monday Night Football against the Redskins. You knew he was going to pass Peyton Manning for yardage that season. So that's a lame excuse. You knew he and Brady both had the opportunity to surpass Peyton Manning for touchdowns in 2019. So you got to include him in those lists. But they were insisting that it's because their careers weren't over with. It's why he was kept off the list. But that being said,
by that criteria, how do you put Brady on there?
Yeah. Well, Brady's got 6 Super Bowl rings, so I guess they felt like they had to put him on there. But yeah, exactly. It's not about
and also one of the face pieces for one of the centerpieces and the faces of this endeavor was also his coach.
Yes, exactly. And it's once again we're changing the rules to suit whatever it takes to keep Breeze off of another list. I mean, we talked about this last week how when Breeze surpassed the record, and of course he added 3 more touchdowns Sunday when he surpassed Manning for the touchdown record. Immediately they kind of said, well, is it really that big of a deal anymore because Brady's right behind him and we're just going to have these two going back and forth constantly passing each other, being the new record holder. Well, guess what? Over the past 3 weeks, Drew Brees has thrown for what? 11 touchdowns. He threw 5 against the 49ers, 3 against the Titans, and 3 more against the Panthers before they pulled him. He could have thrown more. So, it's just Brady hasn't caught up yet. Brady's only thrown 1 or 2 a game. He's having a terrible year. They lost to the Dolphins on Sunday. So it's one of those things that I just felt like he should have been in that list. He should have been in that category. You can't say it's about Super Bowl rings because Bradshaw wasn't on that list, but Marino was. You can't say it's just about records and yardage because Marino's on that list, but Fran Tarkenton and Drew Brees were not on that list. So it's one of those lists that they can justify it however they want. They're just going to do that.
It's a moving scale.
Yes, I thought Richard Sherman had the best answer of it all when he said it really should have been broken up into eras over. Sean, did I just lose you? I think Sean just went through a dead zone. He's probably going to have to call me right back. But Richard Sherman had the best answer. It should have been broken up into eras because you can't, as Richard Sherman said, you can't compare the leather helmets days. Yeah, that was Sean going away. You can't compare it to the leather helmets days and then have the modern era with the rules written the way they are. You can't have them both in the same list. It should have been the best of the 20s, the best of the 30s, best of the 40s, 50s, and so forth. And that would have been a much better list. That's what they did for the 75th anniversary. They broke it up into decades, and that worked best. It made a lot of people happy because, how do you compare Don Hudson to Jerry Rice? You can't. Don Hudson was a great receiver in his era. Jerry Rice was a great receiver in his era. They played two entirely different kinds of games because the rules were written entirely differently. The technology was different, all that stuff. Real quick, because I wanted to get into the Minnesota stuff right away, but here's the thing that we can take away from the Panthers game. Yes, the Panthers put up little to no resistance. They took Luke Kuechly out, I think, early in the second quarter, not long after we knocked out Will Grier. They took Luke Kuechly out and started putting young players in. Um, you know, they knew, the coaches all knew they were getting the pink slips after the game. They knew that this season was over with. All they cared about was Christian McCaffrey record. So the Saints' accomplishments against a team putting very little resistance up, it has to have an asterisk mark. That being said, if you look at since that 49ers game, usually December is one of our worst months as far as there he is. And you're back.
Yeah, exactly. Central Louisiana.
Well, like I said, you're going to hit dead zone, so I expected to lose you a couple times. That happens to me too when I'm driving. I was just
If I
talking.
don't slow down, I'm going to be doing the show in handcuffs.
I hear you, Batman. I was just talking about you take the Saints' performance against Carolina with a bit of an asterisk because Carolina was playing with their bags packed, ready just to get the hell out of there. But that being said,
yeah, it's like you and I were discussing before the show started. Once Greer took that shot and they pulled him, they pulled Kuechly, almost all of the impact players that they have on their roster, they sat them.
Yeah, exactly. But I was going to say, that being said, if you look at the Saints' performances since the 49ers game against the Colts, against the Titans, and against the Panthers, you see a progression in this offense where we're getting more and more productive week after week after week. We're getting healthier in a lot of positions. And what used to be the Saints playing their best football in October and December being their worst month, we're seeing we saw December being one of the most productive months for this offense, which is great heading into the playoffs.
Exactly. And there again, the really ironic thing, of course, as I said earlier, it's ironic that you can look back at Drew Brees being out for 5 games as a blessing in disguise. And it's easy to sit back and say that now, after seeing what Teddy Bridgewater was able to do and able to accomplish. But in retrospect, it really was somewhat of a blessing that when he gets his stride, the timing of it couldn't be any better.
Yes, exactly. Now, unfortunately, we do have to play this Sunday. We did not get that first round bye. Both games that we needed to have go our way went against us in the last seconds. Detroit unexpectedly had a lead on the Packers, and the Packers never took the lead in that game until the end, the final play of the game, the field goal. Detroit does what Detroit does. They pissed away a lead. And when they picked off Aaron Rodgers, rather than run the clock out and just try and get a couple of first downs, at worst, play for overtime, they put the ball up in the air, burned off next to no time off the clock, giving Aaron Rodgers plenty of time to come back and win that game.
You would think that they had seen that movie before.
Now, like I said, and I even said this about Minnesota too. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are like that older brother who, after taco and tequila night, climbs into bed with their little brother and turtles them all night. Every time they let one loose, you hear the gagging and the screaming while they just laugh hysterically because that's what the Packers do to the NFC Central. Or NFC North. I'm sorry, I'm going old school. NFC Central, the NFC North. That's basically what they do to those teams. They, especially Minnesota and Detroit, they just abuse those guys. So that happened. So we had to count on Seattle to beat San Francisco, and once again, Seattle had the opportunity to close out the game, just like the Lions did. And they just had a complete cluster in the final seconds, especially after converting a 4th and 10. It blew me away. You spot them a 13-point lead, you come all the way back, you get yourself in a position to win that game so you can win the division, host a playoff game in that stadium where the 12th man is, and you get a delay of game penalty after getting first and goal. And then old friends, the referees, miss a no call, a pass interference, no call, that even the official in the booth, the retired official in the booth saying, boy, New York needs to buzz down these guys and review this play. That looks like classic pass interference to me. They almost get another delay of game penalty because the Seahawks were expecting that, and it didn't happen. So somebody in the San Francisco team's got a 4-leaf clover tattooed to their butt. That's all I can say. That is the luckiest. They are the luckiest team as far as getting the breaks needed to win.
No, I mean, you couldn't have, as a Seahawks fan, you couldn't have for any more than 2 minutes and change left on the clock, and Russell Wilson got the ball in his hand.
Yep. Yep. And he was amazing. I mean, he really was. I watched one play where they came in on a 5-man rush. It looked like Russell Wilson was going down. He even crouched down like he was going to go down, and he just squirted out of that pile and threw the ball downfield. It was amazing. You had Marshawn Lynch, which was a lot like bringing back Pierre Thomas, and he runs a screen pass. I mean, it was, the crowd was going crazy. It was just
that right there is where I feel like Seattle completely blew it, because they didn't involve Marshawn Lynch in that game until almost halftime.
Yeah. Well, it's questionable how much Marshawn could even do anymore, but he did enough. He would have scored a touchdown right there on that if they didn't get that delay game penalty, because he'd already scored once before from that same position, just coming across from the 1-yard line. He was going to get in. It was just maddening. That entire last minute or so of football was just maddening to watch. And I'm not even a Seahawks fan. I just, of course, you're cheering for it because you want the Saints to get the opportunity to get that bye and not have to deal with the idea of going to Levi Stadium for any game. But hey, it's over with. We're the 3rd seed. We do get to host at least one playoff game this Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota has now surpassed the Eagles as being the team we have played, well, will have played the most in the postseason, and we have a losing record against them. We have a 3-1 record against the Vikings in the playoffs. 1987, first playoff appearance by the Saints. That was a 44-10 loss. Worst loss in our postseason history. And then, of course, in 2000, we played him again. That was the battered team that was still riding the high from upsetting the Super Bowl champions. Hakeem dropped the ball. Randy Moss and all took us out pretty early in that game. But Saints fans were that was okay because we all felt they were going to go further next year. Then, of course, the other loss is the infamous Minneapolis Miracle from 2017. The only win came in 2009. Of course, the most important win when they beat them for the NFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl. So, so what are your feelings going into this game with this Vikings team? How do you feel about this game? How confident are you?
Without trying to seem overly confident, the Vikings, they're, in my opinion, the only hope or the best hope, I'm not going to say the only hope, but the best hope that the Vikings have is for Dalvin Cook to be able to run the ball. And looking at statistics, that's just not a recipe for success against the Saints defense this year.
Yeah. Minnesota on paper is a well-built, balanced team. They can rush the passer. They can stop the run. They can cover. And on offense, they can run the ball, and they have the weapons, receiving weapons, to push the ball downfield. The questions they have, for me, is Kirk Cousins. You don't know which one is going to show up. And their offensive line pass blocking. They got a good offensive line run blocking. They don't have that great of an offensive line pass blocking. Now Cousins has only been sacked, I think, 28 times. But some of it is him getting rid of the ball and just throwing it away. They've only beaten one winning team all season, and that was the Philadelphia Eagles, who finished 9-7. So I like our matchup on paper with them. I think Zimmer wants to run the football, is going to, run it regardless of how the game is flowing, because I think his game plan is to keep Drew Brees and all offense on the sideline and just slow the game down, win a 20-17 kind of ball game.
That's really, like I said, that's going to be the best chance that they have of succeeding against the Saints. And I don't see that working against this defense.
I don't either, but I'm also counting on the defense to play the way they played against the Colts, the Titans, and not the way they played against the 49ers and the Falcons. I'm expecting a much more complete defense with a lot of blitzes to put pressure on Cousins, and also, you have like a human beatbox in there? What is that noise? You got like a human beatbox in there? What is that noise? It's like just a
windshield wiper.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Keep turning down and anyway.
I got you. Never mind. Okay. I just keep hearing a doom, Doom, doom. I was almost going to wonder if you had a flat tire you're driving on.
Yeah.
um, but anyway, so yeah, so I think we match up, and offensively, I think we can exploit a lot of the weaknesses of the Vikings team. I think our offensive line, now that it's healthy, can minimize Danielle Hunter and those pass rushers. I like uh, Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, who is a former Viking, and Jared Cook matched up against the Vikings defensive linebackers, their secondary. I think Michael Thomas broke Xavier Rhodes back in 2017 because he was never the same player. Um, so I like our offense against the Vikings defense. My only concern right now is the Vikings offense versus our defense.
And I think the key to that is going to be Kirk Cousins, which,
Yep,
like you said, which one shows up.
yep,
And if past history is any indication, Kirk Cousins on the road in a hostile environment folds like a cheap suit.
yep. And he's got that 0-9 record on Monday Night Football. And yeah, it's a Sunday instead of a Monday, but I'm all for playing the Monday Night Football theme song over and over and over again in that Superdome. See if we can summon the gods. And in the picture for today's excuse me, for today's show or tonight's show, I've got pictures of Alvin Kamara, Jared Cook, and Taysom Hill because I think those three are the X factor in this Sunday's game. Um, I think, at least on offense, we have seen now Kamara starting to play more like the Alvin Kamara we are used to seeing. He scored 4 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks. He has shown that explosiveness, those cuts and those moves, the ability to slide off of the initial hit that we did not see since November, really since the Saints Jaguars game when he first got hurt. But really since November, we haven't seen that Alvin Kamara. Jared Cook is playing his best football. I think he's got. I used to have the stat out in front of me. I don't have it anymore. But I want to say he has like 4 or 5 touchdowns over the past month. Going
I
back,
think he's had at least four because he's had 2 games with 2 apiece.
yeah, yeah. So I want to say it's like 5 touchdowns since Thanksgiving, 5 or 6 touchdowns. So yeah, so he is playing well. And then of course I got Taysom Hill in there. Taysom Hill is my X factor because he has shown repeatedly now he can beat you running the ball, he can beat you passing the ball, and he can beat you catching the ball. He's a legitimate receiver now for us. Plus, what he does on special teams. And don't forget, his first year playing special teams, he partially blocked that punt that set up the comeback in the Minneapolis Miracle, swung all the momentum the Saints' way. It's just, I just think Taysom Hill is going to have an impact in this game Sunday offensively.
Yeah. And, and by the same token, I believe he's going to have to.
Yeah, because Michael Thomas is going to do what Michael Thomas does. He's going to catch most anything thrown his way. He'll probably get several key first downs, make some plays, but it can't be just Michael Thomas. It's got to be everybody. We need a diverse attack so they can't just rotate all the coverage to Thomas.
Yeah. And what people don't, most uh, fans don't seem to quite grasp is the games will change now because the teams that you're going to be playing are going to be better. The coaches that you're going to be playing against are going to be better. The players that you're going to be playing against are going to be better.
And it's that element of finality. You're going to see a lot of coaches taking risks that they normally wouldn't do if they were going to play the next Sunday. They were guaranteed a game next Sunday. Um, so you're going to see Zimmer come out of his shell a little bit and probably take some risk going for it on fourth down when he would normally just punt it to play the field position game. So yeah, it's going to take a concentrated effort by this defense to put the pressure on Cousins, make Cousins feel like he's got to put the game on his shoulders instead of being able to put the game on Dalvin Cook's shoulders or Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, those guys. You got to make Cousins feel like he's got to make every throw count, every play count, and that's how he makes mistakes because he starts pushing it and forcing the ball. And, and
And above all, if we didn't learn anything from that trip to Minneapolis a couple of years ago, if you have this opportunity, stomp on their throat as soon as you possibly can. Don't wait until halftime to start playing the game.
yep, yeah, we got to jump on this team early and put the pressure on them early, keep the crowd into it. I want, hey, I want to be able to say in the fourth quarter, take Breeze out, put Bridgewater in, start substituting guys, and have uh, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara dancing to get your roll on in the dome with like 7 minutes left in the game, and the Vikings are punting again. That's the kind of game I want to see Sunday, because we got a lot of spirits to kill. I pulled the stat up just to give you an idea. It's not just the Minneapolis Miracle that hangs over this team's head. The Vikings have a 22-12 record versus us. Uh, Granted, much of this was built from the 60s to the 90s. They won one time in '68, one time in '78. That's over 10 years, two wins. And Bobby Hebert's first start, 1985. The Saints beat the Vikings in the Metrodome. That was Bum Phillips' last game as a head coach. He resigned that Monday. And then after that, it got ugly. 44-10, the playoff loss. 45-3 in '88 in December. 32-3 in 1990. The Vikings were not a fun team to play during the Dome Patrol years. We finally did beat them 26-0 in '91. And then I think we beat them again. Looks like we beat them again in '93. 17-14. I remember that game. 17-14. But other than that, it was just loss after loss after loss. I want to say that '93 game they won because our old friend Tyrone Hughes returned to kick for a touchdown. That's how they won that '93 game. They only won it 17-14. But it was a lot of losses until 2001. Then we start winning with with Sean Payton and Drew Brees. We start winning. The only time we lost in the regular season in the 2000s, before 2017, with the Minneapolis Miracle. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Before opening day, 2017. The only time we lost under Breeze and Payton to Minnesota was, you might remember this game, back in 2008. Reggie Bush, big night, 2 kick returns for a touchdown. He had one more that he almost got, and he tripped and fell, but the offense was just horrible, and we lost 30-27. I want to say the quarterback in that game was The guy who was in Washington, he backed up and then ended up beating out Heath Schuler. Um, oh God, he beat his head into a wall and jammed his neck after scoring a touchdown. Gus Farrat, that's who beat us in 2008. Then we beat him, of course, in the playoffs. In the NFC Championship game. We beat him again. We faced him on kickoff Sunday in 2010. We beat him again. Oh, we beat him like a drum in 2011. That was Lance Moore's big game in 2011, 42-20. We beat him in 2014. Teddy Bridgewater's first appearance as a starting Viking quarterback. We beat him 20-9 in a sloppy game. Then we lost opening night, Monday Night Football, to the Vikings in Minnesota. Ken Crawley's horrible game. The Minneapolis. Yep. Yep.
That never was.
Right. Exactly. The Minneapolis Miracle, and then we beat them last year, 30-20, in their dome. That was a Monday night. That was PJ Williams's interception of Kirk Cousins. He returned for a touchdown in the game. That was a momentum changer. The game changed from then. That was the last time we played them. So we've done better, but we need to win in the postseason. That's when it matters.
And as you alluded to earlier, there's a sense of finality to this. You lose and you don't play again until September.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, it's our bugaboo has not been the wild card round. Believe it or not, under Sean Payton. The only time we lost in the wild card round under Sean Payton, we've had to play in it, was, of course, the Beast Mode game in 2010. That was a beat up team that Julius Jones was playing running back for us that game. So I kind of put a little asterisk mark next to that one too. That's kind of like the 1991 season when we had no secondary left playing the Falcons. That I almost excused that loss. But since then, we playing at home. We've crushed the Detroit Lions in 2011. In 2013, we went on the road, beat the Eagles in Philadelphia, our only road playoff win in franchise history. Then in 2017, we beat Carolina at home. And last year we had a bye, so of course we didn't play in that round. So we've had success, especially at home, playing in the wild card round. It's the divisional round we've always had problems with. So let's just take first step first, take care of business at home. The crowd into it. Our offense is playing well. Our defense, it's hurt, but it's getting better. I saw Von Bell and Marcus Williams both were full participants in practice today. Gardner Johnson as well. The only ones who are missing, Zach Line, another former Viking, and Eli Apple. So we probably won't see either of those guys Sunday. You'll probably get Janoris Jenkins and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson playing and PJ Williams. No, you won't see PJ. I don't think you'll see PJ outside. I think you'll probably see Patrick Robinson play outside. And I have to say, I have been impressed with Patrick Robinson over the past 2 weeks playing the outside nickel, cornerback spot opposite Marshawn Lattimore. He made a couple of plays. He made, of course, a big play to finish the game against the Titans. But I thought he made some good plays Sunday against the Panthers too.
Yeah. And it's nice that we get to this point in the season, or we begin the postseason, I should say, with full complement of defensive back.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal. Some of the guys I think are healthy in paper on paper only. You know, they may not be able to play um, the full game, but they're going to be out there. And
Yeah.
I, God, I don't want to say this because I got in trouble in 2017 thinking this way, but I like playing this side of the playoff bracket, if this makes any sense. Because let's, for the sake of argument, let's assume that Saints win Sunday and the Seahawks win on Saturday. I think they play Saturday. I think
No,
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 they we
both
both
AFC games are Saturday, both NFC games are Sunday.
okay. All right, fine. Let's say the Saints and the Seahawks win as expected. There's no upsets. Okay, that means that on the following weekend, the Saints will be going to Lambeau to play the Packers, and Seattle goes to Levi Stadium to play the 49ers. I prefer that matchup in the divisional round. I think that is the quote unquote easier route to the Super Bowl. Not saying that the Packers and the Vikings are gimmies. I'm just saying you're not having to face the 49ers in the divisional round. If you have to face
Well,
the
I mean,
40,
obviously, you don't want to have to make a road trip to the number one seed because they
yeah,
got that seeding for a reason.
yeah, exactly. So I think the way this team is built and the kind of players that we have on this team, I think we can go up to Green Bay regardless of the weather, as long as it's not wet, as long as it's not slick and muddy or snowy. I think we can go just in the cold and play in Green Bay and beat the Packers there. I think that we match up well with the Packers because what we like to do well, the Packers do not do well. They like to run the ball. They don't like to throw the ball a lot. We're great against the run, a little bit weaker against the pass. Of course, you have to worry about Aaron Rodgers and his bullshit. But I think our defense matches up well with what the Packers prefer to do. And of course, offensively, I think the Packers secondary is not nearly as good as their front seven. So I think we can really exploit that secondary in the passing game. So yeah, I think that would be a great game. And Calvin's got a great point. Breeze beats Rodgers and Brady for his second Super Bowl. Then you can say you beat Warner, Manning, Favre, Brady, and Rodgers on route to 2 rings. And he's exactly right.
Well, to be totally honest with you, I
mm,
do not see the Patriots making it that far.
you know, I said, I think I might have texted this to you. I'm always worried when the Patriots get to the postseason because suddenly the Patriots don't look as crappy as you thought they normally do. They pull some kind of BS out of their hat, and you get a little bit of ref ball. Oh, Brady got touched, roughing the passer on third down, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down, and they get points off of that. Or like what I saw last week or the week before. Oh my God, poor Julian Edelman just got killed, helmet to helmet. He's laying on the ground, grabbing his face mask. Concussion protocol. Oh no, there's no concussion protocol. He's hopped right back up. He's back out there next series. Just that kind of
The one thing that keeps jumping out at me, though, what your hallmark has been
Mm-hmm.
as a Patriots organization has been Tom Brady elevating the level of play of a bunch of average players.
Yeah.
And if you've watched him at all this year, that act has gotten old because he's a 42-year-old man. He's not able to elevate the play of the guys that they have now.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. And I think,
Not as well as he has in the past. Now, what you say is very appropriate. They always manage to do something.
mhm,
But, sooner or later, the end comes, Father Time's undefeated.
yeah.
And to add to that, they don't have the luxury of that first round bye this year either.
No. No. And they got to play a team that they don't match up very well with. They're going to have to go in there and play the Titans with that dump truck they call a running back, Derrick Henry, who is just going to run over that defense. Um, they like playing little running backs. They can corral and
Yeah.
force a team to play the passing game where they can get turnovers and sack the quarterback and make some plays that way. They don't do well, right? This team doesn't do well with smash mouth football. They really don't. Um, Especially big physical attacks like the Titans. My biggest fear when we were going to play the Titans was Derrick Henry. I did not like our matchup against Derrick Henry. But
Fortunately for us, that ended not long after the game started.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens if the Patriots beat the Titans and they do it with a lot of bullshit, which is what I expect. Then I'm going to be worried about them in the postseason. But if the Titans are able to impose their will, and it's unbelievable as this sounds, Ryan Tannehill is able to outduel Tom Brady passing the ball, and they can't stop what they do. Then yeah, the Titans will advance, and the Patriots, the evil empire, will be dead for a season. But we'll see what
The
happens.
thing about the Titans, they're another one of those teams that we've been talking about every week.
Mm-hmm.
The Tennessee Titans, the Houston Texans, the Dallas Cowboys, the Los Angeles Rams.
Yep.
Those teams that you never know who's going to show up.
Exactly.
And you may get Tannehill on a day when he looks like a Super Bowl MVP, and again, you may get him on a day when he looks like a draft bust.
Yep. Exactly. Okay, so real quick before we start talking about the rest of the playoff field, um, can you think of a player coming back from injury who you feel is critical to this team success in the postseason?
Right off the top of my head, no, but that's only because the amount of success that we've had recently, we seem to have most of the moving parts healthy. Um, I believe at this point, anybody that we get back is probably going to be looked at more as a luxury than a necessity.
Yep. I'm gonna get laughed at about this, but I really feel this way. I think getting Andrus Peat and Larry Warford back for the playoffs are probably the two most important pieces right now. On defense, I'm going to say Von Bell, but I want to see Von Bell stay healthy because he's a big run defender. I also like the way Chauncey Gardner Johnson has played in his absence. But
Yeah.
I
I
like
think
having.
that if, at least on this team,
Mhm.
that's your rookie of the year right there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Although McCoy is a good 2A. I mean, he is right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you have not had any real problems behind it. But I'm just going to say, having all five offensive linemen healthy and in the game with Nick Easton and Will Clapp being able to come in, on short yardage or filling in case someone gets dinged up. But think about last year, what we saw last year. The Philadelphia game we played last year, even after a first round bye, Pete's playing with one hand, and he got a ton of holding penalties in that game because he was playing with one hand. And Unger was not 100%. Unger clearly was on decline, and Warford was not playing his best football either. Having your offensive lineman, and of course, we can't forget about Armstead. Armstead was only back a couple of weeks from that torn pec, and he wasn't really 100% either. But having all five offensive linemen healthier than they were this time last year, even without the bye, is key because I think that helps the running game, that helps the passing game, all of it. I mean, you just playing the defensive fronts we're going to be playing. Having an offensive line that can just push these guys out the way is key. It's so critical. I just really like the way this game is setting up as far as injuries. Um, yeah, Calvin also throws his in there. Harris, Deontay Harris, should be in conversation for Rookie of the Year as well. Hey, he made his first Pro Bowl. We saw in the past two games teams starting to kick away from him. We haven't had that in a long, long time, at least since Michael Lewis. Teams kicking away from our returners. And we're seeing him involved in the offense too, as a receiver, running the jet sweep. I mean, it's just, we're seeing more and more. So I just like the way our offense is going right now. I'm kind of, even though I wanted that first round bye, I'm kind of excited to see, hey, can we keep this going? Can we get to the NFC Championship game again and then just lay it all out on the table? Finish that game that we didn't finish last year.
I agree.
Yeah, Calvin says Harris is flipping the field as often as he does. Absolutely. You've got two players in special teams that flip the field. You've got Harris in the return game, and you've got Morstead punting. I mean, it's yeah, and Will Lutz. I mean, you saw even in the even in the postseason last year, the consistency of Lutz versus, say, the Chicago Bears and their issues. I mean, Lutz is proven to be worth every dollar we are paying him now. We made him one of the highest paid kickers, but he is Mr. Consistency. And that is such a huge thing, especially if we're going to be playing on the road, um, perhaps for the next two postseason games after Sunday, if we get that
Yeah,
far.
I can remember it wasn't that long ago, like
Mhm.
when we went to Philadelphia for that playoff game, how Saints fans would actually dread that
Yeah,
because we did, and that's not the sense, the feeling that you get now. It's like, who we got to play? Line them up. I don't care where we are, just line them up. We got this.
yep, absolutely. And I think we need to get that monkey off of our back, that postseason monkey off our back. The Minnesota fans are still bringing up. It's been 10 years, but they still bring up quote unquote cheating and quote unquote bounties, on their players, especially Favre, because we played too rough for the Vikings in that game. I just really need to put that team, just bury that team because they're not going anywhere anyway. You know,
Yeah.
they're going to, if they somehow manage to beat us in our stadium, they're not beating Green Bay. They definitely aren't beating Seattle or the San Francisco 49ers. So we need to put that team out of rest of America's misery right now. You know, I mean, that's what needs to be done. Okay, so last thing before we go, predictions, wild card Sunday. Let's start with Saturday. The Texans against the Buffalo Bills. How do you see that game going?
Uh,
Do you really? Okay.
I think,
Well, I mean,
now,
hey,
they may not make it any further than this game,
yeah.
but Buffalo is playing really good ball right now. It's just unfortunate for them that they can't seem to get that Patriot monkey off their back.
Well, and I think that the advantage Buffalo has, they're playing the Texans, which is, the box of chocolate team. You never know what Texans team's going to show up. Is this going to be the Deshaun Watson strafing the field with pinpoint passes, hitting Hopkins and Fuller and Stills all over the field, or is this going to be they're going to struggle to get their first down of the ball game, and Bill O'Brien just totally screws up the coaching in this game? I don't know. I mean, this is my toss-up game. I'm going
I,
to.
I, there too. Uh, Josh Allen
Mhm.
for Buffalo.
Yeah.
I've been really impressed with him over the course of this season. And that game against the Patriots,
Mhm.
he looked like the village idiot. That was not one of his better games that he's played. Uh, you're not going to be sound in the playoffs by playing the Jameis Winston style, just bomb until it works.
Mhm.
That's not going to be a successful blueprint for posting.
The Bills have to be able to run the football. If they can run the football effectively and they can pressure or get after Winston and make him not Winston, I'm sorry, Watson. I'm starting to sound like who was it that was kept screwing it up? I think it was Rich
I,
Eisen. Rich Eisen kept calling him Winston instead of Watson and so forth. If they
yeah, I
can get
did.
oh, he throws off the. There you are. Okay. I missed that last sentence you said. Then he what?
I said he followed that up by calling Reshad Perriman Brett Perriman.
Yeah, Brett Perryman hasn't played in a long time.
Yeah,
That's his dad.
long enough that he's got a kid playing.
Right.
So
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I just don't trust the Bills right now. I'm going to go with the Texans in this game, but I would not be shocked to see the Bills win it. That I just it's my toss up game. I don't know who's going to show up for the Texans. Okay, next game: Patriots versus the Titans. Who do you
I'm
have?
taking the Patriots.
You going to take the Patriots? I'm taking the Patriots too, although I'm going to be pulling for the Titans. I
Yeah,
I I don't trust the Patriots. I can't see the Patriots going one and done in the playoffs. I just can't see that happening. Um,
I went to see the movie last week with my children,
mhm.
and uh, the analogy is perfect. It doesn't matter what you do. There's no way that I'm going for the evil Sith Lord.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I ain't pulling for Palpatine, so go Titans.
All
But
right.
I do believe that the Patriots are going to probably beat them handily.
Well, we'll see what happens. Like I said, I would not be shocked if the Patriots win, but I'm hoping the Titans do. All right. So now we're to Sunday. Eagles, Seahawks. Both these teams are pretty beat up. The Eagles are doing it with, as John Facenda said, more spit than polish, more grit than glitter. You're playing with essentially practice squad and street free agent players. Our old friend Boston Scott is running the ball for him. Who do you have winning this game? This is in Philadelphia too, not in Seattle.
Uh, I I got to go with the Seahawks.
Okay.
Uh, Philadelphia is just too beat up, and Russ, Russell Wilson's still Russell Wilson. You're asking a lot for unproven players to try to stop Russell Wilson.
Yeah. I'm going with the Seahawks as well, only because of Russell Wilson. I think if the Eagles jump on him early and get some points early, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I'm never going to count out Russell Wilson until the final seconds go away because he is just one of those kind of players who can will his team to win. And I think this is going to be the kind of game it's going to be where he wills his team to win for a rematch versus the 49ers. I think that's just what's going to happen. Then, of course, the final game of the evening, the Saints Vikings. Like I have to ask who you have.
We're the first game Sunday.
Nope. Oh, that's right. We are. We're the 1 o'clock. We're the noon game. I'm sorry, the noon game. So the night game. Oh, great. So once again, if we lose that game, I'm gonna be ranting and raving during the entire second playoff game. But I think we win this game. I really do. I think we win this game, not handily, but I think by more than 10 points.
Yeah, I believe they will. The only, in my humble opinion,
Mm-hmm.
the only goal that Minnesota has is for Dalvin Cook to just play out of his mind, and like again, I just do not see that happening against this defense.
I don't think Demario Davis is going to let Dalvin Cook play out of his mind. I think Davis is going to be all over that dude. So and that's
And when you start Dalvin Cook, you got to pin your hopes to Kirk Cousins, and I no, it's not happening.
I mean, Demario Davis was not there in 2018. He wasn't the player we got to see later on when I'm sorry, 2017. He was not even on the team in 2017. And that was one of the huge advantages the Vikings had. They could mismatch our linebackers. I think Kiko Alonso and Demario Davis both are much better linebackers and can handle what Cook likes to do, and that's the bounce outside and the cutbacks. So I think it's going to be a big game. And I agree, Calvin. I'm hoping Teddy sees snaps at the end of the game in honor of his former team, just to close out the game. That would be the best thing in the world. So we only really split on the Bills and the Texans. I'm going with the Texans. You're going with the Bills. We expect the Patriots to win, but we hope the Titans can pull the upset. Both expect the Seahawks to win, and of course, both expect the Saints to win. So, thank you guys for sticking with us. Next week, regardless what happens, we have a show back to the normal time, Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. We'll break down what went right, what went wrong in the wild card round, and hopefully, we should expect to be previewing our trip to Lambeau Field Sunday, the following Sunday, against the Green Bay Packers. Any last words, Sean?